Hello and welcome to Off Track, powered by Rich Energy. I'm your host, Dave Neal, and this week, something a little bit different. Everybody sees fitness instructors around, whether it's MotoGP, whether it's World Superbikes, British Superbikes. Fitness and mental well-being, really important in the motorcycle racing world. And one of the guys at the top of his game, Sam Yassin, SYPC, welcome to Off Track.
Thanks, mate. Nice to be here.
And also what we've got a rider alongside you as well, who you train and is well known to many in the road racing and BSB paddock and at Oliver's Mount as well. Davey Todd, welcome to Off Track, mate.
How's it going, Matt? You all right?
Yeah, good. I'm good. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. This is going to be an interesting one. It's one I'm looking forwards to because it's something that's becoming more and more to the fore at all levels of motorcycle racing. But before we get started into the whys and the wherefores, Sam, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your background?
Yeah, sure, mate. Sure. I guess I'll start at the beginning, really, with my background then. So I sort of played different sports at different levels through my sort of schooling and teenage years. Basically went to university to study sport and exercise science and to play hockey there as well. Stopped playing football by then with a quite nasty left knee injury, which actually still plagues me now the older I get. And whilst I was there, I worked in football for a little bit, worked for Leeds United in like 2012, 2013 season. Kind of thought that's the way that my career would go and I would stay in at least game sports. Kind of realised after being there for a year that it's not everything that it's cracked up to be and everything that you think it is as a kid. Realised I didn't really want to work in football. Came back home because I was obviously at Leeds. So then I came home to Loughborough for a little while and basically started trying to build my own business. I was stuck between a rock and a hard place because I'd already done my internship in my last year of uni, which normally you do after university. So nobody would give me an internship because they kind of thought I was going to get a job and leave. And I just didn't have enough experience yet to get a professional role in S&C, which is obviously strength and conditioning. It's a little bit different to obviously like the PT and fitness instructing world. Often most of us are postgrads and then most go on to masters and doctorates and stuff like that as well. So I kind of found myself finding my own way in the industry. And that definitely worked better for me anyway, because much like most of these guys, we're a little bit rogue and we're not really built to go and sit at a desk 9 to 5. I don't know about you, but it's probably the last thing that we could imagine doing with our days, really, and being told by someone that you've got to be somewhere at some time. We don't really have that much structure in our lives in terms of that sort of stuff. So I kind of wanted to get away from being institutionalized anyway and wanted to run my own show. And then it's funny, like probably get into it a little bit later, but my path is a bit of an unorthodox one, how I got to where I am today. But I basically ended up doing freelance stuff and working in game sports, hockey, football, a little bit of rugby and basketball. And then funnily enough, a hockey team that I was working at, one of the defenders that I was coaching there, one of his best friends was Cameron Lee. And he actually got in touch with me when he was in Aprilia Super Teens. So he basically sort of headhunted me and pulled me into the motorsport world. And I always kind of thought I was going to end up in four wheels because that's kind of what I grew up with a bit more. But there's quite a lot of motorbike involvement with my family as well, like dad and uncles and stuff as well.
And two wheels is better.
Yeah, this is true.
Always.
This is true. And do you know what as well? Like, it's not even from like the standpoint of like watching that two wheels is better. It's like, even for my involvement as well, it's just, I can have so much more of an influence because the rider has so much more of an influence with their physicality on a motorbike that I'm not taking anything away from four wheels. But the fitness of a rider and their physical ability has a bit more part to play than it does in four wheels. So then basically I went from there and worked with Cameron, and then he came into BSB. And then from the rest is history, really. I sort of like went from there and worked with different people, which I'm sure we'll probably get onto during the interview, but just sort of snowballed from there. And I got better, they got better, we got better results, and everything just sort of snowballed. And here we are today, and we've got 8 British titles to our name between tarmac and dirt now.
Which is impressive in such a short space of time. As you say,
yes, I've not been here that long, yeah.
It is a fair short space of time, isn't it, within the sport? And good news in this sport always seems to travel slower than bad news. So you've done very well for yourself so far, and the future is definitely bright, as we'll come to. Davey, we'll come on to you. Your path, well documented. I know you've been on a couple of other podcasts before, and we spoke at Scarborough at the Spring Cup last year. Where are you at the moment? What's the Davey Todd life, apart from surfing and motocrossing and keeping fit and busy and active?
Being a cowboy.
The Charles Bronson mustache is just mint. I love it. Is that a bet, or is that just deliberate?
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? That's my look now. That's what I'm going for. I'm trying to grow out the mullet and everything. But
and why? Do you know what? It's not that it doesn't suit you. It actually does, which makes it all the more worryingly so. Yeah, worryingly so. Last season, Davey, you were Malenko by Paget's Honda, weren't you? You did a few BSB rounds, waiting for the roads to come on. Scarborough with Wilson Craig. Just tell us a story of the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, so obviously with the last couple of years, it's been a real blow not having the TT and the big road races, being the Northwest 200, the Ulster Grand Prix and stuff as well. It's a massive kick in the nuts, basically, for the likes of me and many other the road racers to not have that. So it's been a bit weird. It's been a waiting game, and then we all expected it to get back going again last year, and it didn't. So yeah, ended up doing a few different things. Obviously, like as you say, last year went into a few BSB rounds at the back end of the year with Paget. And then earlier on in the year, also got the chance to do some of the Irish races that I did a few seasons ago with the Burroughs Engineering team. Went and did that with Wilson Craig, which was a great experience. Went and did Aberdare Park and Armoy, Scarborough, like you say, and it was great fun. I enjoy them races, and it's a shame that otherwise I wouldn't have time to do them. But for sure, it's like it's got my hunger back to do some of them. So obviously BSB is a goal for this season. BSB, the TT is obviously the main goal, but TT, Northwest, Ulster, and BSB, and hopefully got some weekends spare for a few of the other smaller road races and stuff. If I can get to them, I'll be there. I'm the kind of guy that wants to race every weekend. So, I mean, if I haven't got one of those on, I'll be racing supermoto or racing motocross. So,
even though we didn't have the major road races, it was still quite a bit of success, wasn't there? You came away with some trophies, you came away with some podium places, which it shows the level that your riding is at when you can turn up at these places and do what you do. So that must give you a good amount of confidence ready for 2022.
The funny thing about that is it was a surprise to most people other than us. Like, that's what's like, it frustrates the hell out of me when people think that Davey's just a road racer. Like, I think, like, especially with running the factory Honda stuff for a year as well, and then going and doing this year, like, we knew that was there to be had all last year and this year. Yeah, we knew. Obviously Davey will be modest and he won't say too much, but like, we knew what was on the table, and we knew what was possible, and we knew it was just a matter of time. And it's always motorsport, and there's always circumstantial things and God knows how many different variables that affect things on different days. But that was more than ready to happen last year.
I think it's been there for a while, hasn't it? And I can't remember if we had this conversation at Oliver's Mount or not, Davey, but the first time that you came onto my radar was Stock 6 Alton Park on the Morello bike, when it was a little bit sketchy. Was that 2016?
16, it was.
It was 16, wasn't it? And you literally cleared off by 10 or 12 seconds. And I was just like, who's this fella? And then obviously found out you got a supermoto background and you're moving into the short circuits. But in the last 5 years, where people have been doing it for an awful long time, you're making your mark really well. So yes, it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody to do what you do, whether it's at Aberdare or whether it's over in Ireland. coming back to Oliver's Mount after 3 years and sticking it where you did there at the Spring Cup. The markers are there for everyone to see.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, obviously I've been racing my whole life, you know, even before Supermoto. I only did Supermoto for a few years, but before that I was always a motocross rider ever since I was a kid. And I don't know. I think the road racing less of a surprise now, because I think everybody's got to know me as a road racer from the last couple of times at the TT. But BSB is still a massive goal of mine, and people sort of brush over that all the time, and it's still a really big thing of mine to be a successful short circuit racer as well as a TT rider. And I'm not doing the thing of, as soon as I mention it and everybody's like, yeah, well, it'd be good for you to use the BSB to get up to speed for the roads and stuff like that. And it's like, I'm not turning up for that. I'm not turning up as a warm up. You know, I'm turning up there because I want to win races and be in there for winning championships, not just turning up to, you know, get up to speed or whatever way you call it. So it's been a little bit difficult, like to put it lightly, the last couple of years after having basically since 2016, which was my first year, won a couple of races, and since then I never raced on short circuit again until 2020 when I signed for Honda. So I just had like all those years in between of just doing roads, and roads only. So going back to them in 2020, it was a bit of a learning curve for me again to get back used to it, and especially on a big bike, which I'd never rode 1000cc on a short circuit before. So that was a learning curve, but getting back used to it. And last year, with just those few rounds I did with Padgett's, we managed to stick it on the podium in one race at Donington, and another race ended up leading like over half the race, I think, and ended up finishing fourth in Superstock Thou, which has got to be the most competitive class at the moment. It's it just showed, like, it showed me as well as much as anybody else. Like, it showed me that, you know, I feel like I've got what it takes to run up at the front there, not just be a road racer. You know, I want to win races. I want to be up the front, and if I get the chance to do a full season with testing and everything, which hopefully is a plan for this year, I'll get the chance to show that a little bit more.
And I think you're absolutely right. Donington, I think, was the nadir for your stock 1000 time, with it. Everybody in the paddock that, if they weren't sure, were definitely sure after that one. And as you say, a full season with pre-season testing and then a full season at it, there's no doubt that that you can be a contender. And it is one of the toughest classes. Sam knows that. You know that. What was the journey? How did you meet Sam? How did you hook up with Sam to start doing the training with that side of things?
It's funny, actually. I think we originally met through Cam.
Yeah.
Because Davey was in Stocked Out. Were you with Morello then?
Yeah, it was in 2016.
In Stock 6 in 2016. So obviously, like, my only rider at the time was Cam, so I was just completely engrossed in Stock 6. Obviously, Davey was on my radar then as well. But like, one of the main things for me is, like, I don't know, the profile of rider who ends up coming with me often kind of figures itself out. They're all quite similar characters, but like the common denominator for who I work with is, like, I have to, like, get on with them, you know, like you say, like, I've not been around an awful long time. You know, I've been around in the paddock now probably 6 years or so, but news travels fast within people, and like, you work with quite a lot of people and whatever, and people know that you're one of the guys to come to. And I'm never shy of work, you know, and it's a nice position to be in. Like, sometimes you're better off to say no to some things, you know, like if it's not a good fit for you and them. And I've had it in the past as well, where someone's wanted to come on board. And the biggest thing for us is we're a team, you know, like, and that's one of in this sport, I noticed pretty quickly, because technically it's a team sport, because Jesus, we know how many people it takes to like turn a wheel in a crew. But as they're individuals, really, they're out there for themselves, although they've got a teammate sometimes to worry about and they've got team interests, but it's an individual sport, but
Agreed.
That was the mentality of most riders, was they didn't want to help each other and work with each other and stuff. And that's something that I've always wanted to have as one of our ethoses, is if you're joining us, you're not just joining me, like you get a framework, you get a team support, like where we can ride mountain bikes together, ride motocross together, we train together. Like sometimes you're going to get some characters that have got history and that they're not always going to see eye to eye, and they're probably not going to spend tons of time together. But most of the time, as a whole, like I want the boys to be like watching other people's timing screens, and like most of the time they all want to have a look and watch what's going on with each other's sessions, and like they'll go out and spot on track and they'll talk about stuff with each other, and they'll be offering, I don't know, advice about bikes they've been on, manufacturers, little things and setup and all sorts of stuff. And I love to see that. And that was, going back to your original point, that was one of the main things that drew me to Davey, is we just got on. I just knew like he was just a really, really good guy, and I just knew that we would have plenty in common, and that at some point it felt like it would align and we'd work together, because it still was quite a while after that we started actually. When did we start working together? 2019?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. It just, that's one of the biggest things, and something that gets really overlooked with a lot of people and in the sport in general. But obviously Sam's here to do a job getting us physically ready. But because as he's saying there, like about, we all have to get on and be like a team, like a family, how it is, having Sam there at the track when I'm actually racing and stuff like that. It's not only the physical side of getting ready and warming up, it's mentally like preparing you. And that mental side of it is such a big thing for me, as much of a part of it as the physical side, to be honest.
Yeah.
So that's how the fit works so well between us and the other guys in the team. That's what makes a massive difference. Not just here to train and do gym work and go home. It's having your head in the right place mentally when you're riding as well.
I think as well, one of the things that I feel like is always pretty prevalent is we're always having fun. We all enjoy each other's company, and we're always, when it's time to be serious, it's time to be serious. We'll all switch it on, but a lot of the time as well, we do just all enjoy each other's company. And like at the track and stuff, at the end of the day, you probably spend, I don't know, a few hours a weekend actually sort of preparing to ride, doing physical prep, mental prep and everything like that. And the rest of the time, a lot of it, we're just chilling out and making sure everyone's happy. And for me, it's just making sure everyone's got what they need. Like, does he need anything? Like when I'm going out, does he need anything bringing back to the circuit? Like, do you need any personnel liaising with? We try and make sure, like Davey's been in the gym this morning whilst I've been training regular clients, and we've had physio over here, and Tom, guy from Optimum at Derby, who's someone that I work quite closely with. I actually met him through Tommy Searle. He keeps Tommy Searle in one piece, which is a job in itself. And yeah, he sort of tunes the guys up and keeps them going, sort of thing. And obviously Davey lives a long way away from here as well. What, you're a good 3 hours up the road?
Yeah.
So it's trying to make sure that we've got like a network of people, which is something that's kind of falls to me as well. Like if someone needs something sourcing, whether that's a physio, surgeon, something like that. Like Davey's actually one of the more organized. He's pretty like self-sufficient, funnily enough, considering he turns up to everything, even his own funeral, he'd be 20 minutes late. But he's actually like pretty self-sufficient, and he organizes personnel and stuff pretty well. But for some lads a bit younger, maybe still living at home, not as worldly wise, sometimes I'll be putting pieces in the right place for them, But yeah, in terms of, I think actually we were supposed to do something before the last TT. Was it 2018 or 2019 was your last TT? Before the COVID break?
Yeah, 19 was the last.
Yeah, so we were supposed to do something. We were actually supposed to do something, the three of us, weren't we? Me, you and Daly. And then obviously what happened, and then it took a little bit of time to get back to normal, and then we got together after that, and we started doing some work. But with Davey, you're a classic example of, it's almost like it's pretty different for me, like in season with road racers and motocrossers. But because I don't know whether it's because of Davey's motocross background, but he just loves to bring me an injury. he just loves to bring me some kind of chaos, whether it's 3 a.m. on FaceTime from the other side of the world, or whether he's got himself in some bother here. But he just loves to throw a spanner in the works for me.
With the amount of riding he does, the amount of fun he has, there's always going to be something happening somewhere, right?
Oh man, this is honestly on about all the things he's there for and organizes and does. This is why I'm driving back at the start of right at the start of 2020. Just like announced all my Honda deal and everything. This is before before COVID kicked off and everything. Yeah. So before all that went crazy. So it was when all the TT was on and everything was good to go. So I'm out preseason training with some friends in California, riding motocross every day, getting a ton of bike time, and ended up having a crash anyway. Smashed myself to bits, and I'm driving back. I went riding on my own. The only day I went riding on my own.
That's because Brad was setting up at A1, because it was when A1 was on, wasn't it? Were you at Temecula or something?
Yeah. So got somebody to load my bike up because collarbone was smashed to a million pieces at the time, anyway, calls him up and I'm like, who am I gonna ring? Like, I'm driving back to my mate's house because he's like, don't go to the hospital.
No, first thing was don't ring an ambulance.
You don't ring an ambulance. You don't have insurance. It'll cost you a fortune.
It's like 10 grand for an ambulance.
So sorted that. He's like, just drive back to my house. So then next port of call was like, ring Sam. Like, tell him.
It's like 3 a.m. for me as well.
Not thinking about the time difference. Obviously, I'm panicking, thinking the season's coming up. This is like, January. Season's not far away. Then you're starting to tee up, getting ready to go, and we had testing planned for February, I think, and
everything else was mint. Everything else was so good. Like, I feel like you're in the best physical position, and this was obviously quite early on as well. So I feel like we were getting gains everywhere because you've always been fit, but you'd always done like the classic cycling, etc. So then when we started going over into a more of like a strength and conditioning athletic development route, you're feeling mega out on the bike flying, and then I hear boop, 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 and I'm looking at it, I'm like, fucking idiot. Like, is he like out partying or something? What's he doing? Like, what's going on? So I like get out of bed. I'm like walking down the stairs and I'm like, yo. And he's like, yo. I'm like, and he's like, I got a surprise for you. Literally. He's like, I got a surprise for you. And I was like, oh my God, what is it? What's going on? And I could see he was holding it, but it hunched. And I think you had like a jacket over or something. And you just pulled off like that. And I was just like, no. It's like, what are we going to do? And straight away, I was like, well, have you got insurance? Obviously, I presumed you would have insurance because you are like on it with stuff like that. And you always have really, really good insurance here.
That would be the sensible thing to do, wouldn't it? Have insurance when you riding motocross in a different country.
But it was pretty
when riding motocross at all.
It was well, exactly. Yeah, but he's very covered here, but it just, for some reason, never gone through his mind whilst he's bombing around riding like AMA tracks and stuff, like really fast, wide open. It's not even actually how you did it though, is it? You weren't fast or wide open. No. But so then I'm like, okay, can we swear on here, by the way, Dave?
Of course you can.
We'll keep it clean or not?
No, it's grown-ups.
I was going to say what I actually said to him was, you fucking idiot. Like, what the fuck are we going to do now?
That's more
so
like
then we're sort of like putting our two brain cells together at the time, like thinking shit. So I was like, right, well, I'll call Rhino. I was like, Rhino got to be one of the best guys for us to call out there. He's always in a hospital bed or doing something wild, and he's pretty well connected. So I rang Rhino and he was just like, has he got insurance? And I was like, no. He's like, don't ring a fucking ambulance. I was like, yeah, we know. Like, he's on the way home. He's like, right, A1's on. And I'm like, yeah, A1's on. And he's like, right, Dr. Alexander. And I was like, okay, have you got his number? He's like, no. Have you got Johnny Louch's number? I was like, actually, I can get Johnny Louch's number. So obviously Johnny runs the W training facility and works with like Quattuara and all those lot. And I think actually, so I rang Rispoli then. I rang Rispoli and I was like, dude, I need Johnny's number. And he's like, what's going on? And I was like, Davey's collarbone's like hanging out, like poking him in the eye. Like, we need something sorted. He's like, yeah, of course, send Johnny's number. So I rang Johnny and explained, because I spoke to like his head of sports medicine over there, Joe Cancellieri. Like, I was speaking to him about going over there and doing some work for a little bit, which again all got messed up with COVID. So we knew of each other and everything anyway. So I rang Johnny and explained what had gone on, and he's like, right, okay. So he's like, Dr. Alexander as well. So we're like, okay, cool. So this sounds like the guy. So let's get hold of this guy. So they give us the contact details, and we go down that route and everything. And it turns out that it was 27 grand with Dr. Alexander for a new collarbone.
Yeah.
So then it was like, okay, so maybe we don't do that. So then basically you went to A-Stars Medical at A1, didn't you? And they were really good, but they were basically like, let's patch this thing up as best we can, stick some pills in you.
We'll give you a prescription right now. You can go get some painkillers. And he was like, if I'm going to advise you to do something, I'd advise you to painkiller yourself up and jump on a plane, which I don't know if it's the right thing, but I was like, that's what I'm going to have to do. So
it's an awful lot cheaper than 27 grand.
Yeah, I booked a flight, hammered myself full of painkillers and
bit of whiskey.
Flew home like a few days later, and obviously had all the right medical cover, all the best guys. Professor Funk, who does a lot of like the guys' collarbones and shoulder work, arm work, and stuff like that. Is like, I think, the best guy in the country, certainly. So straight to him and got surgery, and then we're gonna.
That's not even where it ends.
That's not really where it ends.
But then obviously as well, then you.
Let me just sit back for this one. Go on.
So I've already obviously given him a rollicking, but like Harv took it pretty well, didn't he?
Yeah, I think it was early enough in the year that I was worried about telling him, and I'm like, again, like throwing things off Sam. I'm like, what am I going to say? Like, I've just signed for the factory Honda team. Like, what am I going to tell them? Like, we've just released the news, maybe like a few weeks previous or something.
I felt like we needed to take a solution before we took the problem.
What do I do? And he's like, let's just figure things out. And then you give him a call and you tell him what's going on and what we're sorting. So anyway, we got it all sorted. He's like, yeah, you got to call him now. Tell him you're getting surgery. It's all getting sorted, whatever. And basically did that. And he took it well, I think, because I was already like, I've got surgery tomorrow or something.
I feel like he's quite pragmatic like that, and he like, as long as there's a plan, like as long as this thing's sorted, like Harv likes structure, and he's like
100% he does.
Yeah, I can see
it's exactly right. He said, this is what's happened and this is what I'm going to do about it.
It's not like he's unreasonable, is it? It's just we were shitting ourselves a
little bit. It was just like, what have I done? Got this opportunity, and just he's gonna I don't know, but yeah, it was all good. It was like getting a surgery, it'd be sorted, I'll be fixed in a few weeks time and I'll be good to go. Like
bear in mind at this point, I'm like, no more fucking moto. I don't think we ride moto now. I just don't think we risk it. I'm sound. I feel really good. Plate feels mega. That's what happens when you have a decent tire. Yeah, exactly. Like it's gonna feel good, but what do they say to you? Don't fucking bend it.
Don't bend it.
Don't bend it.
Don't bend those titanium plates.
Was originally in my Honda contract as well that motocross was not allowed, and I had to sort of argue and make a point that I need motocross for training. And
I can ride motocross. I've got a motocross background. I'll be fine.
Such a badass.
So it was allowed, and he basically said the same right before the season. No more motocross. And anyway, long story short, feeling great after the surgery. A couple of weeks later, done some great physio rehab with Sam and like doing a few exercises. I'm like, I feel good. Like, what, a couple of weeks or something? I was like, this is really good. Like, I've been able to do quite a bit of training. I'm ready to get back on a bike. I'm wasting time here. I should be on a bike and getting bike fit again. I've had a few weeks off now. Like, I need to get back going. And everybody's like, oh, I don't know. And the surgeon went back for a meeting with, had some x-rays. He's like, I've never seen anything recover so quickly. It is healing really good, but he's like, it's been a couple of weeks. Like, it's not going to be healed. Like, yeah, it's going to be strong. That he like you fall on that, it's not going to hold up.
I won't fall.
And I'm putting a lot of the recovery, I still think as well, like down to the vegan diet, plant-based diet for sure. Helps so much for that. I got to put that in there. That's a big part of my diet.
I was going to say as well, like he is.
That's interesting. I'd never considered that.
Which was originally from you as well. You told me to do it.
Yeah, which is really interesting as well, because it's something else that we'll get onto with Davey's injury history, is how actually we came about to him being how he is with his nutrition and stuff, which is another story from the Ulster.
Yeah.
I've got all day, boys, so it doesn't matter to me.
He doesn't actually have that much choice in terms of how, because he eats so clean, because he's basically intolerant to oxygen now. Like I've just been and bought his breakfast this morning. I've just had in my carb, I've had smashed avocado, halloumi, bacon, hash brown, cherry tomatoes, mushroom. If Davey ate that, his head would pop off and he'd turn purple.
Yeah, I'd probably die. Yeah, that'd be great. I wouldn't die. I'd be pretty down.
He's just had like gluten-free toast with avocado and cherry tomatoes and mushrooms. And then like I'm having the conversation with him on the phone whilst he's getting physio, like, have your hash browns got gluten in them? And then we're having this whole going back and forth. And it turns out actually the thing that they've got in them, he could have had because it's potato starch. So now he's like, upset because he's had no hash browns this morning.
And it's like, put some halloumi on it as well. No, can't have dairy either. No dairy. So
no eggs. But anyway, he is like pretty damn disciplined with his food, like way more than I am, way more. And like he eats well and he's very prepared with it. And like even at race weekends and stuff as well, like it's like some Heston shit is going off in this man's motorhome. Honestly, like. And I'm a foodie, and every time I walk in, like we're very similar in this. Every time I walk in, I'm like, oh man, why are you doing this to me? And he's there like balsamicing things up, and like everything's on like a bed of some kind of fancy leaves, and yeah, he's got it going on.
Most of the time, I know how he is. So most of the time, you rock in, and you're like, oh my god, I'm so jealous.
Your
like,
ball's over there.
You've made that, and I'm like, there's yours. And he's like, I love you.
Yeah,
tell you what, Davey, I'm seeing you in a different light now, mate. This is such a great chat.
Honestly, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. Really
I don't doubt he's one of the great characters in the paddock. That's for sure. Not the PR automaton that some riders can be.
For sure. But like,
still allow his character to come through, which is important.
It's part of this. It's part of everything. Like I don't want to be. I don't know. I've just never been boring. I don't want to be that boring person. You know.
I think that's why it works between us though, because like neither of us are stereotypical of our professions. I don't think, you know, like we do everything together in terms of being a team. We party together as well, you know, like that's no secret. I'm pretty partial to a good time, and I'm not the complete most straight and narrow. And I'm not really, in terms of someone who's got the science background that I have, I'm not really like most of my peers in that sense. Cause I just believe massively in balance.
That's the word.
It's so unrealistic to expect them to operate like PR robots all the time. And you got to blow off steam sometimes, you know, and I think it's all about moderation. If I'm the guy that's saying no all the time, then all you're going to do really is breach my ethos and my sort of rule set. And then I feel like once you do that with one thing, like I feel like respect goes out the window. And if I'm going to ask you to do something else, then that I wouldn't do or I wouldn't stick to or whatever, like, I don't think it's good really. So I feel like, we're not really completely straight-laced as a team.
Not like that. Not like that.
We still like to have a good time. But like we work hard and we get everything done when we need to. But we're also like we're fine with like letting our hair down and like with off season and stuff as well. Like I'm not too harsh on them and too strict. Like I don't really start like getting back down onto everyone until like January sort of time. Like if people want to go and eat a bit of crap and they want to go and like go on holiday or do this and do that, like God, we're all humans, you know, like everyone's got to go and live their life.
That's one of the biggest things what works for me, working with Sam. You know, like I've worked with a couple of other people and it just doesn't work for me. As soon as I lose the fun and the enjoyment of it, and the same goes with racing motorbikes. I always said the second I lose the lose the passion for it, if I'm not having fun at the track, I don't want to be there anymore. Like every time, like if I'm not having fun, I don't want to be there. Like it's not worth it for me. You know, I'd love to say there's like so much money or so much this, that, and the other. It's not. Like I'm doing it because of the absolute love, and I love it. I wouldn't rather be doing anything else other than being at the track.
Same for me, to be honest. Same for me. Like, obviously, I've got to earn my money and I've got to pay my mortgage and stuff. And I'm not saying that, like, there's good money in motorsport, you know, what you're doing if you're good at it. But that's not what I'm there for. That's a byproduct. If you're successful and you win championships and you win races and you work with good guys, and you're going to earn a few quid here and there, but like it's not what gets me out of bed at all. Like, and the thing is, like, and me and you have discussed this previously, Dave, like for me, motorsport can be, especially like the BSB paddock, it can be a real lonely place, and it can be a very, very frustrating place. And no matter what I do, if I do my job to the best of my ability, Davey does his job to the best of his ability, the team do their job to the best of their ability, the bike's great, like nothing goes wrong, none of us do make any mistakes, some moron could just come and T-bone you, and that is racing, you know. And one 100%. Day that might be us that's we've got the moron in the team, you know, and it's part of it. You're not a muppet because you make a mistake at all. Like that's just racing, and everything can be completely on, and then one little thing goes wrong, and then everyone's hard work is just completely gone out the window. You know, there's probably going to be a big bill for someone as well. But that's the thing. Like, if you're dealing with your own stuff and that's happening to you repeatedly, whatever's going on, it's pretty tough. But for me, sometimes I have to deal with 5 or 6 of those weekends, like all in one go. And for someone like me, like for what I'm there for and how much I care, like my kind of why is because for one reason or another, I never made it in professional sport. So now for me, in a selfish point of view, I live vicariously through them, and I have the biggest impact and the biggest input that I can do by using my skill set to try and get us on the top step, you know. And I just want to be a small cog, and like, there's no better feeling than being a really small cog in a podium, a race win, and even better, a championship, you know. But at the same time, it's 98% of it isn't rainbows and butterflies, and you'll be dealing with some kind of hardship at some point. So for me, when we're going through those times, that's like Davey said, like you need to be still having fun. Like we can still be there and be having a good time and having fun and being all around each other and being there for each other. And you got to remember, like, somebody's going to be going through something over a weekend. You know, it's very, I think we've probably had in my career, I've had one weekend that came about as close to perfect as possible. Was first round of 2018 season when Brad Ray, we did the double. That was his first ever BSB win. So it was my first ever BSB win as well. And Ben Curry did the double in Supersport. Vickers won stock 6. And Lee Bob was just out of contention in stock 8. I think he finished just off the podium, but that was also there to be won that year. So we almost did the sweep. And that's about as close to perfect as it has ever come, and might be going forward as well. You know, like it just doesn't, when you're working with that many guys, it's not going to happen like that very often at all. So in terms of the stuff that kind of, we've been through some tough times together and stuff as well. I mean, the amount of times that you sat in the motorhome or the caravan or whatever, and you know, nobody really knows what to say. Like there isn't the right thing to say at that time, is it? Because we're just in the dumps. Like we're there to compete, we're there to win. Sometimes that's taken away from you through no fault of your own, or even if it is your own fault, and it's a pretty lonely place, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not easy.
Does it after? And I know this is a difficult subject that we'll just touch on briefly. How difficult was it to find the fun in racing again after losing Daly, and how you both brought yourself back into the fun and Sam's input into that? Because you're clearly back to the proper Davey, you're having fun. Did that kind of magnify that importance of enjoying everything that you do?
Yeah, that was a big part of it for me. And it's almost as if Sam sort of slotted into that place where Daly was at the time, because it's funny how it sort of worked as we started working together not long after that, and it was a similar thing. I actually used to train with daily and stuff, and we did a lot together, mountain biking, and we'd be at the track together and stuff like that. But had exactly that same mindset of we need to be having fun, whatever we're doing. When we're at the track, we're like laughing and messing about too much, probably half the time, and when we're messing about with each other in practice, when we're at one of the IRC races, and just always having such good fun. And that was the biggest thing. Then moving forward to losing Daly, it was so tough, but in the same breath, like we discussed it, like to go briefly over it, like we talked about it, we talked about what the risk is, what could happen, and we're road racing, we're doing the TT, everybody knows how dangerous it is, and we both sat down and been like, what if, and what if that happens, and both of us sat there and honestly said, doesn't matter what if, because it's worth it, like it's worth doing. Like I wouldn't have it any other way. And I know the risk, and I'm going to do it anyway, because it is the best thing ever. Like it's what I live for, and we would both say exactly the same thing. He'd be like, oh, that's what I live for, it's what I live to do. And obviously you don't want anything to happen, but it's he wouldn't have had it any other way, so that gives me a lot of sort of peace in that. And it's hard to get around and stuff, and was certainly hard at the TT at the time, but it's one of the things you got to move on from. And it's a hard part of the sport, isn't it? It's a hard part, and I think a lot of racers have had to deal with it, certainly in road racing and that. But
it does. It's a part of it that scares the shit out of me a little bit, I won't lie. Because for me, like it'll be like going to the TT together this year and stuff. It'll be like my first involvement at all. I mean, I trained Maria Costello for a little bit. She's a great girl, but never through a period of like actually competing. Like I've never been to any road races with any of my guys or anything. And obviously, with the relationship we all have and stuff, like I've been through some tough times with some of my guys, seeing them in some really not nice places, and that's part of the sport that I actually hate. Whenever, like, you see it across the whole sport, whenever we lose someone, everyone always sort of says like it's just a cruel mistress, isn't it? It's part of it that we just would like to forget about. And I feel like it's something that we don't really talk about an awful lot either. Like it's just one of those like looming things that we all know it's prevalent, and it's a harsh reality, and it's part of the risk. But yeah, and I did also, like a few years ago, felt like I wouldn't do it, because I never really wanted to be in that position where it was a risk of being that close to someone who I feel like is on the edge and risking that. So obviously for me, that's kind of in the back of my mind a little bit with involvement with that. But at the same time, like I'm excited to see the whole thing, and I'm excited to see Davey getting back to what he really, really loves. And obviously for us, we're there thinking about the positives over the negatives, and really all I think is how unreal would it be to win at the TT. That's something that's not a string that many people are going to have to their bow, being involved with or doing themselves, and the main thing is for me as well, what excites me about Davey's involvement in the roads is I still think that he could go on to be sort of like the pound for pound in terms of across two wheels, and that's my main focus for him. Is like I genuinely believe he could be the best all-rounder in the world, Guy. Sorry.
Sorry.
I genuinely think that he could go on to sort of like be the best all-rounder that there is. And obviously, I don't know at the moment who probably you'd say Pete's probably got that title at the moment. But in terms of supermoto, motocross, road racing and short circuit racing, like if he isn't already, then that's kind of our aim. I genuinely think that he can definitely get to the top of the tree and be one of the best all-rounders in the world.
Have we had an announcement yet of who you're riding for, Davey? Is it a continuation from last season, or can we not say just yet?
It's not released. It's not.
That's fine.
It's not out there yet, but deal's done. So it's really exciting things, and I got honestly exactly what I wanted in terms of what races I'm doing and the perfect situation I feel for me. So it's exciting times, really.
Excellent. Congratulations. We look forward to that being announced in the not too distant future, hopefully. So going on to, with that in mind, Sam, how do you now develop, as we said, coming into January, the season is now, it's almost tangible. We're getting into March. Davey, I trust you'll be at the BSB pre-season test, if that's the case. Yeah. So now we're building up for March. Winter's done, Christmas is done. I'm still carrying about a stone heavier than I ever should be, but I'm old.
Good in the wet.
But I'm old and I don't care.
Good in the wet days.
Oh, there's some ballast there. Don't worry about that. I just need to get out on the hills around here a little bit more, but I'm not a big fan of going out in the rain, which is kind of what it does in East Lancashire over the winter. But I'll get rid of it eventually. How does the plan start for you both now, both mentally and physically, without giving too much away to anybody listening, but just a general overview of what you both do between now and the beginning of March?
Everybody's quite different. You've got some guys that you would leave longer and you've got some guys that will barely stop. But in terms of like periodizing someone's training through the off season and through closer to testing, and then obviously everything changes in season as well. The main thing we'd be focusing on originally is everyone getting enough of a rest for injuries to heal. And some people will be carrying a level of fatigue, whether that's mentally or physically. So some people will need a decent reset period. It all depends as well how long you've been training, what your training age is. Those that have been training for a shorter period of time will probably need a little bit of a longer rest. It's something that you just sort of accumulate and you get used to the older you get and the longer you've trained. But through winter, we'll mainly be focusing on aerobic base work and strength work. So building, it's like building a house, really. The best house is built on deepest foundations, isn't it? So we like to build aerobic base, which is actually, in short, for the layman, is where we work on slow, steady work, building a big base for the sort of spectrum to sit on, because the majority of it. So if you look at like a heart rate scale, you want like lowest heart rate possible resting, highest possible really maximal, and then you've got like lactate thresholds that fit in there, which is basically the two different points in which we can work up to before we start feeling real fatigue, which is then correlated to what kind of fats or carbs you're using. So we basically teach the body to use fats for as long as possible, which is like the slow oxidative work, like 90-minute plus cycles, which is something that Davey does all year round anyway. I think, again, they all have a little bit of an element of ADHD, I always think, and they're not very good at it still.
You think?
So like if I haven't sent him something to do, there might be a reason for that. And most of the time, which I don't have a problem with because his base is so good, then I'll always get like a little Strava or a little heart rate map pop up and he'll have been doing a cycle. The hard thing is with most of them is getting them to actually stay under those heart rate zones and not, he's like, yeah, but it's too easy. And I'm like, yeah, but what you don't understand is there is a time and a place for that. Like there is a reason. Yeah, but if it feels easy, and this is what you get with most motorbike racers. If it doesn't feel as hard as when they're riding it, they don't think it's doing anything towards that, which is actually quite the opposite. Because 9 times out of 10, when you take a rider to go and get a VO2 max and a lactate test done, whether that's an institute or whether you've got someone in-house or whatever, 9 times out of 10, you'll see that the aerobic base is too small and they use carbs too quickly, but they are just good at doing that because mentally they dig in and they just think, oh, I'm in the fucking hurt locker and I'm staying there. And they do just churn for ages in it, whereas actually it's much more productive to be structured. You spend probably 80% of your week during winter in an aerobic base, zone 2, zone 3, much lower heart rate. And then with the strength work, we do a lot of big like compound movements, simple stuff that most sports should be doing. You're not really doing too much specific stuff through winter. Most of the guys that have been doing it for a while will still keep lots of little specific movements that are working on smaller muscle groups and like biomechanical movement patterns that are similar to riding a bike, or at least trying to simulate that. But just working on big like lower body, core, upper body strength, building a really good base, and then we sort of turn the wick up and turn the specificity up the closer we get to the season. And in terms of like specifics and stuff, like for Davey this year, it'll be a little bit different for us because obviously we are in elite sport, like say in like football, you aim to like peak every week. And for these guys, obviously that was quite similar last season with a condensed period. But what's good is that we've got time to peak and trough now. So the aim is really that we peak every time for a competition weekend, and then we'll tailor things off. We'll ramp back up so we're getting some kind of gain or at least maintenance. And then we taper right down again and peak for a weekend. But for us, our season's a little bit more complicated this year because obviously we really, really want him to peak for the roads. And I think the roads is somewhere as well where there's a lot to be gained in terms of being very fit and being bike fit and being specifically bike fit, because it's much less prevalent in road racing. You know, it's always historically been more about balls and skill, whereas actually you're always going to be better at riding a bike with all that and having fitness. And a lot of it for me around the roads, a lot of our preparation will be around cognitive endurance and cognitive reactivity, which basically reaction time, prolonged reaction time, and repeated bouts of mental stimulus. Because obviously the biggest thing for you in terms of, I mean, you can talk about how different it is for you physiologically and mentally riding on the roads compared to a short circuit, and that will probably make more sense in terms of people understanding that.
Yeah, certainly for me, it's like in terms of roads, there's no better way to talk about it than the TT. And the TT, obviously the race, first of all, being so much longer, you know, you're concentrating for 20, 25 minutes, half an hour tops, that you would on a short circuit race or a motocross race or something like that. You know, you're just shy of 2 hours at a 6-lap TT race. So it's a long old time to be out there and concentrating, and it's
and the stakes are higher.
Much, yeah.
High, but because of how long the course is, and there's so much more to it, bumps that you have to think about, and how long the lap is, that you're always thinking about where you're going. Whereas on a short circuit, I almost go into you go into an autopilot where you're riding around, and you can ride around really quick on like autopilot. There's nothing going through your mind really. And you just think about more, you're not thinking about where you are on track or the next corner or anything like that. You're thinking about trying to pass a guy or trying to defend from a guy or something like that. Whereas at the TT, you are actually always thinking like, right, okay, for here, there's that bump there, there's that, I need to do that. So you might, physically, it is incredibly hard, like 6 laps around the TT, but mentally it's insane. Like your brain is completely fried after 6 laps around there. You just that concentration for so long whilst doing like hard physical exercise, racing a bike and knowing the risks, everything, but you just completely fried at the end of one of those races. It really takes everything from you physically and mentally. So that's certainly the biggest difference for me. Or I say the biggest difference. They're completely different things, you know. Honestly, people talk about all the time why a rider doing one is not good at the other or whatever. It's like two different sports. It's such a different style of riding and everything, and two completely different things. And you have to learn how to ride on the road. You have to learn how to ride on a track. It's two different ways of handling the bike as well, how you move and whatever you do. And that's an interesting thing for me, why I enjoy it so much, because it keeps it fresh. I enjoy doing all different kinds of motorsport and sport in general. So
yeah, likewise for me, like I don't like to be stagnant and just concentrating on just one thing. And it's funny how many like different sort of elements, like interdisciplinary, there are from something that from the outside in. I mean, the biggest thing that you hear that absolutely drives me nuts, I try not to let it bother me, but it's like, what, they need to be fit to ride a motorbike. You just sat on it and twisting a throttle, and fuck me.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Oh god. Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah, taken out on pillion laps and stuff, really.
Until you've actually been out on one in some, like you say, on a pillion lap or something, braking, the forces, the differences, and you speak to the guys who've ridden different bikes at different times. when you step up and like one of your old disciples, if you like, Brad Ray, when he rode the MotoGP bike at Sepang, it was another step again. And you just, again, having to calibrate his brain. And I suppose that's the same way with yourself, Davey, from going to the short circuits to the roads, the calibration of practice week, taking that time to bed yourself back in. And even more so coming in this year where with the 2-year break, it's, yes, you know which way the roads go, and it maybe won't take you too long once you've done maybe half a dozen laps. But how are you two preparing for that last week of May?
Certainly for me, it's going to be a mad thing. It's going to be a mad thing going back after 2 years out, and keeping in mind that I've only done 2 years there. So like I've done 2 years there and then had the same amount of time away from it, and then going back again. So to be honest, for me, I almost felt like it was, I don't want to say an advantage, because people like John McGuinness or Dean Harrison, who've done so many years there, they're just going to be so tuned in with it. But I don't know, like I feel like it's almost set people back to like being a bit of a newcomer, and like turning up after 2 years out, it's going to feel really like new and fresh to everybody turning up there. And to be honest, I felt like that anyway, because I've only been there for 2 years. So I was still feeling, to be honest, like I was a newcomer there. So I'm just going to go back and treat it like I've treated it for the last 2 years, and take it step by step. The 2 times that I've been there so far, I've just not took any risks, not had a moment, not had anything like that at the TT, because I sort of promised myself that I was going to take time to learn it, to go step by step, and not go in and try and go for a lap time, look at position or look at my lap time or anything like that. You get asked all the time, what's your goal for your lap time and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't have one, because if I have one, then I'm naturally competitive. Like I am really competitive, and I had to take that away from myself to do it right. And being influenced by some of the best guys in the game, like John McGuinness helps me so much. We're good friends and like train together, ride together, and everything. And John, was a big part of that, of like not turning up and thinking you can do something in your first couple of years, because you won't. You just take it step by step. And the best thing, to be honest, I ever was told was by John Burrows, my old team boss, and he said, treat it like a Sunday ride. Just enjoy riding the best circuit in the world, the best roads in the world. Just enjoy every second, every corner, and treat it like you're out for a Sunday ride and just enjoying it, loving it. And I literally did exactly that. And people laugh and go, you didn't know. But I honestly felt like I did that. So to come in, that's why I was so happy and so peaking to have done what I did in my first year, my second year, and was over the moon, because I was like, I'm not trying. Like, it was just, it just come naturally. And I feel like I want to just keep doing that, because it was safe. I was never near the edge of the road and having close shaves or anything like that scared me. And I think it helps, to be honest, that flowing sort of style at the TT anyway. But certainly just want to keep doing what I've been doing in that sense, and see where it takes me. For sure, the lap times the front guys are doing now are going to take, pushing on a little bit. And Hickey for sure is trying when he's doing them fast lap times he's doing now. What is it, 135 mile an hour lap?
35.6, isn't it, or something like that? 35.6.
It's insane. So, and I've seen a fair few photographs, where he's full broadside, like sliding the bike, and it's like you can't say you're not pushing at that. But where I'm at lap time wise, like 131.5, it's not far away over such a long lap, like over 15-minute lap, isn't it? So, a mile an hour, I think, is like 7 seconds. I know that 7 seconds sounds a lot to a short circuit guy or something, But the TT, 7 seconds is nothing.
Over 37 3/4 miles, it's not really a lot, is it?
There's 200 between like 200 and 300 corners, and that's without the little things that they don't name a corner, but it is.
You go and find a 10th a corner.
200 mile an hour.
Yeah.
It definitely is a corner, but they're not calling it a corner. So there's like hundreds and hundreds of corners and parts. You know, not even a tenth, like hundredths of a second on each corner just makes you a bunch of time, like immediately. So it's sort of easy to find that time. And it was in like one race in the senior, the last time I was there, where I'd not done a 1:30 until then. We hadn't had any practice laps. We'd had bad weather in 2019. It was like barely rode the bike, and I was just like, you know, still of the mindset of I'll just go out and do what I can, go as fast as I feel comfortable riding, you know, just enjoy riding around. And I came in and the guys were going mad. They were like, you did a 1:30, you did a 130 mile an hour lap, you know, on your third lap or something like that. And they're like, you know, going nuts. And then a few more of the guys come over from the team and they're like, oh, you know, what do you think about your lap time? I was like, yeah, I'm so chuffed to have done a 1:30. I didn't think that was going to happen. You know, it's a big thing. Like a 1:30 club is a big, it's a really cool club to be a member of, isn't it? So
at such an early stage as well.
Yeah, that was special. And they went, what are you talking about, 1:30? I was like, I did 130. And they're like, on the last lap, you went and did a 1:31.5. And I was like, head completely fell off. You know, it was, but to find that jump, I didn't feel the difference in those laps. You know, it was just felt like it was coming naturally. You know, they felt the same. That 1:30 lap and the 1:31 lap felt the same. And there's like 7, 8, 9 seconds difference there was between them. And yeah, it didn't feel that way, but I just want to keep progressing that way and keep doing it in a safe manner. And I think there's longevity in that if I keep doing it that way. And, you know, I'll go back and I'll be in a better place than I've ever been physically working with Sam. You know, I've not had the opportunity to have raced at the TT in the Northwest and stuff like that, the places where I feel like it's going to make a big difference. And
as well, we can start to bring in cognitive stuff this year and use a lot of like footage, film, visualization, doing different bits of like memory work, pre-fatigued memory work and stuff like that. And obviously like when he's cycling or doing long ski erg and things like that, we'll bring in footage and film, and we'll probably test things during sessions as well. And it'll be exciting for me. It'll be interesting for me bringing in different techniques and stuff. And obviously there's lots to learn from other sports, and there's lots and lots of cognitive work going on in like MMA and stuff like that at the moment, and lots of bits like that I'm trying to learn about to bring in a new sort of element for him. And at the same time, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know, whatever he's been doing before. Like at the end of the day, for me as well, I'm not going to teach him to suck eggs. Like he knows a lot more about road racing than I do, you know, so it's all about what he feels is right. And that's the one thing that you can't go in there doing, is feeling like just because you understand physiology and cognitive work, you don't understand a sport that someone else has been doing that you've not been involved in yet, you know. So it's all about learning from him as well.
Across a weekend, I mean, before we move on to the next, we wish you both all the very best on the roads for this coming season. We'll see you at BSB, that's a given. But the roads is so exciting that the 3 major international races are back, with the Northwest 200, the TT and the Ulster, and I can't wait to see what unfolds there for both of you. So on that side of things, very best of luck to the pair of you.
Cheers.
When you go racing, there's 3 values, isn't there? There's the known knowns, the known unknowns, and the unknown unknowns. How, as a strength and conditioning coach and almost a right-hand man, Sam, how do you deal with the negatives with the rider during a weekend, if they're having a difficult time, difficult qualifying, or if there's something of an outside force that's affecting their weekend focus?
You know, I feel like something that I watched recently actually made me realize like this was something that I'd kind of been doing and was kind of one of my ethoses without really realizing. But I was watching some stuff with so I'm big into my golf and I watch a lot of golf stuff, and I think there's actually a lot to learn from golf in terms of like 90% of golf is mentality, you know, and tons of it is psychology based, and it's one of the toughest sports in the world for that. And I was watching some stuff with Tommy Fleetwood, and it's really interesting. Like his dad used to, no matter what he did in competition when he was younger, whether it was good or bad, but his dad used to make him, when he came off the 18th, he used to sit there and say, I want you to think about the 3 best strokes of the day. No matter what's happened, whether it's good or bad, I want you to stand there and think about your 3 best shots of the day before you walk off. And then once you go into the clubhouse or whatever, that's it. That's all you think about. You reflect, you're positive, constructive, live and learn, move on. And I feel like that's one of the things that we do kind of have prevalent in our sort of psyche through the whole weekend is there anything good that's happened today? If so, yes. Like, let's think about that. Let's take what we can from that. You know, the bad stuff, let's process it. What can we do differently? What could we have done about it? Process that, move on. Tomorrow's a new day. No matter what's happened, as long as you're in one piece, might not be, as long as it's going to be in time, you know, like go and manage the relevant people. Let's go and make sure that everyone's all right. Like we're always trying to think about, I think kindness and humility goes a hell of a long way in elite sport. And even if you fucked up, hold your hands up, go and make your peace with whoever you need to make your peace with. And then let's move on positively. And like, we don't like to have negativity hanging around for too long at all. Like I feel like we're quite a positive crowd, you know, like people like Brandon and stuff like that. Like, and it's also important to get around each other when someone's having a real shit weekend. I feel like the boys are pretty good at that, to be honest. Like the ones that are sort of close anyway, everyone will always be involved. It won't necessarily just fall to me. I feel like it is a very big thing for us, like you say, the unknown unknowns. And I'd say if there was one thing that could sort of epitomize our mantra, would be control the controllables. Control the controllables. Do what you can, and the rest of it will fall how it's going to fall, you know. And let's do what we can to influence the good stuff.
There's a lot of negativity around trying to sweat the small stuff, isn't there? And things that you can't control. What's the point? It's wasted energy in that
and
sense.
Do you know what as well? Like, I wouldn't say that I'm perfect in that sense at all. And sometimes I think I take things harder than they do. And some things might annoy me more than they do them. And that's one thing that I know makes me great at what I do, but also can be a weakness of mine. And I can fixate on them a little bit too much. And I almost take it too personally sometimes. But I think it's because I want to win as much, if not more, with some of them, you know, like that's the one thing that really gets me out of bed. Like I'm just a shiny magpie. Like I just want to collect shiny things, you know, and that's what we're out there for. And that's one thing that they always know they're going to get from me is I'm fucking passionate about winning.
What's Davey, when you're doing the exercise, when you're down in the gym with Sam, he's not going to listen to this question, but which is the exercise you favor least?
I honestly don't know. I used to hate the ski erg. I think everybody hates the ski erg, but
weirdly, that's the picture I had in my head because I've tried that and it's just horrendous.
Nah, I'm not even joking. I love the thing. There's 2 of them sat over there, and I love them. Mate, I hate them, and everybody talks about hating them all the time. And honestly, I think I've done it that much, and I've grown to love them a little bit.
Mate, I'm the same.
Sometimes
I love it.
When I was meant to, I've had times when he's been going low. I've been ill, or I got COVID for a bit and was ill, and he's like, just rest. If you do some work now, it's going to make you ill for longer. You need to do nothing. And I can't sit and do nothing. So I'm like, I'll go in the gym and have a bit of a go on the ski erg for a bit and end up doing like half an hour or 40 minutes.
He's even got his own now. He loves it that much. He's talking about his own. When he says the gym, he's talking about his at home.
Yeah, I've got one. I've got one at home. It's one of my only bits of equipment. And honestly, it's one of the best things between that. And I think it'd be better talking about my favorite things because
that was the next question.
Just loves it all. Just loves it all.
Yeah,
just mad for it.
Between that, the Prep handlebars, I think are such a good thing. You know, for balance and for so many different things. I'll go grab them over here.
He's going to get the bars now. That's it. That helps with the core stability and it's functional, isn't it? With the handlebars,
relevant to the game. You know, it's honestly perfect, and it involves then so many different muscle groups that you weren't doing before. And
I think that's something that's massively overlooked. And this is, I'm not knocking anybody, but these days there's more and more people popping up and doing what I do, and they might have a PT or like a fitness instructor background and whatever. But what people need to understand is the main difference there is, like, to be an S&C coach, you need a good physiological and biomechanical understanding, and you don't learn that on a 6-week PT course in Pure Gym, you know. No. And lots of times with products like this, you could look at it and be like, it's a gimmick and it's just meant to look specific, and it's not going to do anything, because people that really understand mechanics will be like, you're not moving in the same planes, and you're not moving, the mechanics aren't that similar. But what's really similar with them is how it makes you use the much smaller muscles, the much smaller stabilizers, and things like, if you just sat there doing big bench presses and stuff all the time, you're using big muscles like your pecs and your triceps. And the stuff that we try and do, because I have a very holistic approach and we do tons of mobility, we always try and look after the little bits and bobs that actually get overlooked with big compound movements, because they're the ones that either get injured or are too weak and they don't get picked up. So using little things like this and the amount of shoulder stability and rotator cuff work and stuff that we do as well, which obviously is quite important when you like smashing your shoulders to pieces.
I've thought about it anyway. My least favorite thing, hands down by a long shot, is when he tells me to get on the bike and do a cycle and do it in zone 1 or zone 2. Basically go easy. I honestly, it drives me insane.
Hey, anytime you're doing anytime you do a zone 1 and the zone 2 ride, mate, I'll come with you, because I can just about cope with that.
Honestly, it destroys me. I get on and I do about 10 minutes and then I'll be on Zwift. I love Zwift. So I use that certainly in winter for doing it. And some guy will pass me and I'll just be like, no, you won't. Full gas all of a sudden. I'm like, like in my head, I'm like, I'm still taking it easy, I'm
looking at shoulder, like, no more than 140 BPM. It's there, like, biting the screen at 178. I'm catching him. I'm going to catch him, though. I'm tough.
That's what I hate the most. Like, bar nothing. It's the hardest thing for me to do.
I think he would take a zone 2 ride over an hour of burpees, though, I'm not going to lie.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Nobody likes a burpee.
Nah, yeah.
Is it Sam?
Push-ups that are like weak shoulders.
Okay. So for you, Sam, for look at how you look after your riders. Would it be fair to say one of the hardest things that you have to do is keep them restrained in that respect without doing too much? Or are they they're all competitive?
50-50 split.
Is it?
50-50. I've worked with some guys over the years that no matter what you do, you're never going to get them to do too much. You know, most of the guys that stay with me for a while are the ones that do enjoy hard work, and they're the type that like to get after it, and they're the type that like to feel like they're being productive towards their careers when they're doing this hard work. But there are some lads who are just stuck in the dark ages, and if they could just ride bikes and probably turn up like Barry and probably like the James Hunt era, you know, like go out the night before and smoke some fags or something. There's so many boys out there still that would love to in keep with that ethos, and that you are constantly nagging them. But I don't always think that they end up being the longest relationships, because I feel like someone like Alden has a bit of a reputation. I feel like people know that if they are going to come work with me, they're going to have to work. And you're probably going to have to learn to love the work, or definitely be able to endure it, you know. But at the same time, like, I'm not one of those people that wants to smash people unintelligently just to make them feel like they're working hard. Everything for us is calculated, it's measured, it's tested. We work off tangibles, we work in zones. Everything is, to be honest, the biggest part of what we do is around mobility. 9 times out of 10, when people come to me, they're not mobile enough. They don't do enough mobility. They've got injuries that have contributed to that, or they're going to have injuries at some point that are going to be made much worse by not having a good mobility base. And people often always confuse mobility with flexibility, whereas flexibility is like the range at a joint, static or whatever, and you're sitting there touching your toes, whereas mobility is about range of motion through movement and about strength through movement. And there's a big difference, you know, and although you do hold things statically on a motorbike, you are always dynamic in some way, shape or form. You're always working against torque or trying to move something one way or another. You're also absorbing force linearly and laterally, unilaterally and bilaterally, like one side. It's very rare that you're absorbing force equally through both sides of your body, which is something that people don't take into consideration. So loading things completely linearly and having everything completely equal is kind of, it serves a purpose in some ways, but there's also got to be some offset loading and working out forces and making them relevant to the sport.
A bike is barely upright, is it? You spend more time going around corners than it does staying upright on a long straight. Which
is the same sort of premise, which is why we would opt to go with a ski erg rather than a rower, because you've got to think about planes and you've got to think about mechanics, and especially for motocross riders, you know, the mechanics of using a ski erg over a rower, it just makes way more sense in terms of where you're loaded and where gravity is loading your body and the joint systems that you're using.
So now's your time, Davey, to big Sam up for the difference that he's made for you while you've been working together and your riding. How have things changed for you in your riding and your mental approach since you've worked with Sam?
Massively. I think about it all the time, honestly. Just how comfortable I am on a bike. Not necessarily that I can manage to do a race, because I've always been able to do a full distance race or whatever. But I feel like I feel on the last lap, I feel as good as I do on the first lap. If not better, I just come stronger throughout the race and stuff like that. But it's a big part for me, and I think it is with a lot of races the same. Your mentality towards it, on the mental side of things, you've done that preparation physically. You feel 110% in the gym. You feel strong. You feel fit, healthy, and stuff like that. You get on the bike believing and knowing that you are fit and healthy and good to go, and that changes everything. Like, that really does. Know you've covered every base. Know that you've done all you can do to then jump on a bike and feel so much better. I think not only that, then the injury recovery is a massive part of it that's helped so much when, like, everybody has injuries all the time, and you know, whether the big ones are you've broken bones or just pulled muscles and stuff like that. In this sport, you know, you're racing regularly, so if it's mid-season, you don't have long often. You might have a week, 2 weeks to get back prepared again, and having someone who knows exactly how to get you back to 100% in that period of time makes a huge difference.
I think the other thing with that is as well is I never like to kid myself and get yourself above your station. If I don't know, I'm very comfortable with just admitting that I don't know and just doing what someone who's essentially, I've turned into a performance director, really. And if I don't know, then I'm more than happy to get personnel in that do. You know, like, don't claim that you know everything. At the end of the day, a fool thinks they know everything, and a wise man thinks he knows nothing. You know, so
it's a massive thing for me that that there's always someone. You know, like, whatever the need may be. We've had so many different people in the gym and trackside as well, where me or one of the other riders have needed something, and if it's something Sam can't provide, he'd be like, I'll find someone who can. I'll find someone who'll do it, and someone good. You know, it won't just be just anyone. You know, need a physio, a really good physio or something, he'll find the best physio, you know, the best person to go to, the best surgeon, whatever it may be. And that counts for so much again. Like it's just, yeah, it's priceless, that sort of stuff to you know, be prepared all the time, to be ready for it and be there every single weekend moving forward. And you know, with the season that certainly I've got upcoming, with the roads coming back and doing BSB on top of that, and I'd love to say the weekends, the odd weekend that will be in between that there isn't any racing, that I'll take as rest, but I won't. I'll go race Supermore or motocross in those weekends. Or spend all
not
day
the motocross. Not the motocross.
Me and you both.
So
not the motocross.
I'm just starting to feel back with it. I'm starting to feel back with it. Motocross. I've been riding the last 2 days. I've been riding motocross. I'm feeling strong. Like I think I want to
charger.
I think I want to start going back to racing motocross. Personally,
just
Sam, what's the biggest thing you've taken?
We get a petition. We get a petition.
Well, mate, as soon as anybody, whether in the MotoGP world, BSB, whatever, as soon as anybody gets injured motocrossing, there's always a massive discussion of why are they doing it? Should be in their contract not to do it. But I guess you could.
Yeah, I don't know.
Taz McKenzie, though, case in point, Taz has hurt himself out at Cartagena this week.
I've
so
just seen
you kind of do it anyway.
Right shoulder and a broken right tib.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you kind of things can happen anywhere, can't they? Really, but you can sort of hold things back without.
You can't wrap everyone in cotton wool, for sure. But there is risk management, and
it's exactly that.
What's funny is I would have always said, because I'm lucky. Like some of my guys have come through, like Davey, Vickers, BJ, good motocrossers, and you would think that means that they're safer motocrossers, but the other thing is that means they're going a lot quicker and they know they're more capable. So will they take more risk? You know. Whereas there's some guys that we've had through that are not so good motocrossers and are dangerous to themselves and everyone else. So saying no names, but there are some boys.
Name names.
Some boys should not be twisting a motocross throttle. That's for sure. For the safety of everyone.
Sam? What's the biggest thing you've learned from Davey? Because clearly it's a two-way street. The relationship that you both have, and the relationship that you have with the other guys, as you've mentioned, Storm Stacey, BJ, Brandon Pash, Ryan Vickers. I don't know what Bradley can teach you, but he's a heating engineer at the end of the day.
Yeah,
God love it. We love Bradley Wilson. What a great fella.
Definitely been some unique characters. Do you know what? I think funnily, the biggest thing that I think I've learned from Davey is actually more about his character. And I just think one thing that should always be said for Davey is he's just not got a bad bone in his body, you know. And as much we can sit here and blow smoke up his arse about his ability to twist the throttle on stuff, I think the biggest testament to him is like just what a good all-round guy he is, and just how much time he has for everyone, how humble he is, and just I feel like he definitely treats everyone as if he'd want to be treated, you know. And I feel like I've learned stuff from Davey in that sense, just about being a better human, to be fair.
And that's something else
about the biggest compliment I could give him,
which is incredible. And we spoke about that before, didn't we? When we chatted last week briefly before we came on the show, of how important the human side is in motorcycle racing, because it is something that gets overlooked. That at the end of the day, you're all still humans. You all still have feelings. You still get up in the morning. Some days you wonder, you know, am I good enough? Can I do this? Yeah. You, as confident as you are, Davey, and as good as you are at what you do at the level that you race at, there's got to be some days where you think, am I really doing this? Is this what I want to be doing? There's the odd time and that's where the help from Sam comes in a little bit more to put you back into that, but back on that pedestal, if you like, that you are amongst the best at what you do.
Do you know what? That works both ways as well. Because I feel like at times, actually, it's not all about me supporting him. Like, we've got a friendship now where I feel like I've had shit go on, work, personal, whatever. Whereas actually, I think he's picked me up just as much as I'll have picked him up in his career, you know?
I was going to say, it's so far past, you know, it's not trainer and you know, athlete anymore. Like we're past that sort of, past that sort of thing now. You know, it is a really good friendship that we have, which I think just amplifies everything all around. You know, it makes the work better, stronger, you know, more beneficial. But it's great for us as well. Like, you know, we do so much stuff outside of the gym where we're not working. You know, we just go have fun and do all different kinds of things together as well.
We're literally about to chuck the bikes in the van now and go and ride at Cannock.
Excellent. I'll tell you what I'll do. This has been the most fascinating chat, fellas. I so appreciate your time. I knew it was going to be a good one, but it's surpassed even what I was expecting. So what I'll do, I'll finish off with 3 questions. One for you, Sam, and 2 that I always finish off with the riders, Davey. Sam, what's the biggest thing you've learned while you've been doing SYPC?
I feel like biggest thing at the same time as you've got to have an element, unfortunately, especially in this game, of self-preservation. And I think you've got to watch your back in terms of who you trust, what you trust, and not just leaving it all out there. But at the same time, don't let that get in your way of building real solid relationships that are actually what you think they are, you know? And I think that's so concurrent in business and in life. I think it's just been a huge learning curve for me, if I'm honest, absolutely huge. And I've literally started 2 businesses from the bottom, recently just let one go, and knowing when to let something go. And sometimes when you're flogging a dead horse, or if your heart's not in it. But I think the thing that's always come back round for me is you will 100% succeed at something that you love, you know. And I have sort of worked until my career is just basically my hobby, my passion. And these boys, they mean so much more to me than like a client relationship. And that makes, although that makes the lows low, that makes the highs so much higher. And although sometimes you've got to be a little bit guarded, but as long as you are doing something you love, like I literally don't work a day in my life. And I think that's why I can give so much to it. And I'm so happy to give so much more than if it was just a job, is because I genuinely, absolutely love it. And I'm
fully understand that. What I tell you what I want you to do, just one before we finish, just give all the guys that you look after, give them a shout out and let everybody know who you're working with as your roster.
Yeah, the team in terms of tarmac at the moment isn't actually huge, but I'm kind of really enjoying it like that at the moment because I feel like the quality is really there. So in BSB this year, we've got Ryan Vickers, who is just like Storm. Those two are destined for big, big things. I think they are 2 of the top 5, if not top 3 young talents on tarmac in this country. I really, really do think they're both destined for a hell of a lot more than they're doing right now. And I think we'll see that unfold as they've grown, sort of thing. Special talents and special lads as well. And then we've got young Liam Delves moving actually all the way up to Superbike this year, which will be very interesting. It's going to be a big, big challenge for him for sure. I think this year is all about learning for him, and physically and technically and stuff. Obviously we've got Brandon Pash, but he's staying back over in the States at the moment. Obviously Davey, and yeah, that's about it for us on tarmac at the moment. Obviously we've also got Bradley Wilson, but we're not quite sure what Bradley's doing this year yet, but he's looking to do some road stuff. Recently just taken Paul Jordan on, so we're going to have a little bit more of a full roster on the roads this year, because Bradley might be doing some of that stuff as well. So, and obviously Paul and Davey will be all the big stuff, so that's really interesting. He's a real great character actually. I'm enjoying working with him. We're only a week in, but that's real good. Then we've obviously got the power slide crew as well, so Brad Clark, head honcho, whatever Brad decides to do this year. He's always in here. He is honestly one of the hardest workers in the room in business and in training and stuff. And he's a good character to have around. And then we've obviously got his head man Bjorn on a superbike again this year as well. Bjorn's another hell of a hard worker. And what they achieved last year as a team was amazing, really.
It was absolutely stunning.
Yeah,
all power to
and
the power
another
slide
one.
crew.
He's a great guy, great energy. Athletically, he's brilliant as well. He's really, really good. So yeah, from the tarmac side, I think that is just having a quick check on the wall, just in case I've forgotten anyone. I'm going to upset someone. So no, I think that's about it for us. There's a couple of heads that might be moving in and out between now and the season, and I'm doing some stuff with. I have put a thing out that I'm going to put out this week a bit more. I'm opening up to the whole British Talent Cup entrant roster. I'm going to do an educational seminar for them here with a bit of a training day. I'm going to open it up to bring in a parent as well, because at that age they could do with some support and people learning as well. So I'm going to do like
someone to drive them there.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think we're in cycling distance for most of them. But yeah, so I am opening that up this week. I just really want to support the development of young talent in this country, really. And I know there's some great stuff coming on from Simon and Michael at Vision Track as well. And I'd like to do some stuff alongside them at some point. I'm not sure whether it will happen, but I love the ethos of what they're doing, and I want to do something similar in terms of I'm going to put some stuff out there for the talent of tomorrow and give back a little bit where I can. And then we've got a pretty full roster on dirt this year as well, but that's a bit of a different chat, bit of a tangent. But yeah,
it's a bit of a tangent I know nothing about. I'm purely a tarmac man. I can't spread myself too thinly. My passion and my love is tarmac.
A whole nother world. But yeah,
I don't mind going up to Fat Cats, and we'll have friends that are on the kart track on the pit bikes and things like that. And I'll have a wander over to the dirt and watch the boys on the dirt, and it just blows me away.
Yeah, stay on that side of the fence.
There's no question. I've ridden a dirt bike once, and I think I popped one of the ligaments in my knee, and I've never been back on one since.
That's coincidentally where the end of that story finished up. That we didn't finish.
What happens to that plate?
Hey, top and tail the podcast. I like it. Well done, boys. Finish that story.
Yeah, that basically the end of that story. I jumped back on a motocross bike after a couple of weeks after my surgery, feeling great, feeling amazing after the rehab, the recovery, everything. And I was like, I'm ready to go. And much to the surgeons, everybody's displeasure, I was like, I'm feeling great. Did one day riding, felt awesome. Was like, right, I'm going to ride next day, go to Fat Cats, ride around all day, and did the fatal mistake, really, of all the boys I was there with were like, we're done, right, we're going home. It was nearly the end of the day.
One more lap.
And one more session. I'm loving it. I'm feeling so good. I can't believe my shoulder feels this good already. I'll do one more session.
I know how I'll thank Sam for sorting the shoulder out.
One more session, and fell off. Fell straight on the shoulder, bent the plate, damaged a bunch of the screws in there, and had to ride all year with a bent plate, touching a bunch of nerves and muscles in my shoulder. So that was another thing that gave Sam a bunch of extra work in 2020.
Two of them did that to me that year. Vickers did the same.
Yeah.
And his is pretty interesting shape to it now as well. If you ever need a bit of if you ever want your stomach turning, Dave, just go and ask Ryan Vickers to show you his column.
Oh, well, he's another friend of the podcast, along with Storm Stacey and a couple of your boys. So it's we'll have a chat.
We should maybe do a group one at some point.
Mate, we can do it in the season. Let's get all the boys together at one of the rounds.
Carnage. Speaking of that, actually, I'm actually going to start. So Davey has just started his YouTube channel. I'm just going to start mine this year as well, if I don't mind me just plugging that. And we're going to
absolutely. The show's about you boys, so yeah, you plug what you want.
10 rounds vlogs. So we've got Jamie Hollis is going to vlog each round by round for the academy and for the team. We'll have like weekend roundups, day by day, little bits and bobs, highlights, and little bits of behind the scenes and stuff. And I'm going to try and tell the story of the team, whether it's good or bad. It'll be real. Tell the story of the team through the season.
We'll make sure we share that on Off Track for you, mate. We'll promote as much as we can do. It's a fascinating chat. Two final questions for you, Davey, that I finish every rider chat with. First one, what's your favourite corner and why? That's one question.
It's got to be a corner mountain section of the TT. I always said 30 second milestone up on the mountain section of the TT. It's just so fast. There's a big drop off the side of it, and so fast and just flows so well. There's like a double apex corner and you drift out, and it's hard to explain the feeling. Just the feeling that you get from riding around there is incredible. But you get asked this question a lot, and you end up just basically going around the TT course being like, I love that corner and I love that corner, and I love that corner. That corner's great. All of them.
It is always the same. It is always difficult with the road races, because if you doing the short circuit as well, it does almost always revert back to the TT because it is so unique and so iconic. This is going to be a good one. Sam, watch his face on this one. Davey, what's your best hire car story?
Ooh. I I actually have a great one. Few incidences, but the best one, the scariest one for me, the first time I ever rode for Penn's 13 BMW in the end of 2018, we went and did a race in Germany, Freiburg, International Road Race Championship. We went and did the last round and got invited out there with a couple of other riders to do that. And so I get this hire car anyway. They pick it up from the airport and they're like, it's this brand new Golf. It's like literally the top spec. You've really looked out with this hire car or whatever. It drives itself. It's got lane assist. It's got like adaptive cruise control, everything. It literally drives itself like around. It was pretty cool, to be fair. And so anyway, it's the first time I'd ever seen anything like that. So I'm driving it around, raving about it, telling all the guys at the track, because I'd end up going on my own or driving from the airport to the track on my own. The other riders were already there or got there another way. We're at the track, finished up riding for the day or whatever, and I'm like, you guys jump in my car rather than everybody drive back to the hotel. Jump in my car. I can't remember who's in there. Daly, Jamie Coward, I think, or Danny Webb. Derek Shields. I don't know if you know Derek.
I know the name. We've not met, but I know the name.
Road racer, unbelievable road racer, absolutely nuts on the small Irish national roads. Unbelievable rider, one of the best, if not the best Irish national racer.
Agreed.
And yeah, really good guy, super fun. Anyway. Derek being Derek, I'm telling him about him, and he sat behind me in the car. I'm like, look, I don't even have to touch the brake or the accelerator. I can let go of the steering wheel. Like it goes around these corners by myself. And these typical like German roads, where they're elevated and there's like the road's built up and there's big drops either side down into fields or whatever. And we're like flying along fast, probably bit too fast and like trying to scare the boys, act the big man. Look, okay, I can let go of the steering wheel and it'll still steer, and everybody's going, if we crash at this speed or whatever. And I'm getting a bit cocky with it, and next thing, Derek grabs my arms and like pulls me back on the seat and like pins me to the back of the seat where I can't reach the seat. Like I can't touch anything with my arms, and my legs are like pulled back, so I couldn't reach the pedals to get to the brake or any controls whatsoever. And he's like, right, mate, now we'll see it. How good the car is that you keep talking about. And honestly, I don't think I've ever been so scared in my life. We're doing like, I don't know if we're doing 100 mile an hour in this car along this little road with big drops either side. And I'm like, we're going to die here. We're just going to absolutely...
Did it steer?
We're coming up to this. It looked tight. Honestly, it probably looked tighter than it was because my head was just falling off at this stage. I'm like, this is it. We're going straight off the end here. This will be the time where it doesn't steer. And thankfully, by the grace of God, it went around that corner. But yeah, that was the most interesting ride I would ever had in my life. And it went around the corner and he let go of my arms, and that was that. But my God, yeah, that was one scary moment. But great thing to laugh about after.
And you look back at
that could have gone wrong.
That's a retrospective laugh. That's not one.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was wild enough.
You see why I asked that question at the end, Sam?
Yeah,
it's mint. Every rider has
I've got a couple of hairy ones, to be fair, but they probably
few get crashed and stuff.
Hey, if you've got a hire car story, mate, share one. Sam.
No, maybe another time.
The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Yeah, it wouldn't be so funny without the names. I don't think I could say the names without getting someone in trouble, to be fair. The funny one was when Rispoli and Bjorn ended up on like Dutch police interceptors in Yassin. Yeah, big fines.
Whoa,
big fines. That was funny. Actually,
I know Bjorn well. They're both at Everquit, man.
Yeah.
Both
they
at Everquit, weren't they? Yeah,
it was funny. It was good.
I shall ask them when I see them.
The flags on the way to Portimao always make a great slalom as well. And watching that happen in vans and hire cars is always a little bit interesting.
So you can roll it first.
Yeah, literally.
Literally.
Yeah, and there's a few drops there as well in and out of the road.
Oh, that's incredible. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure. I know you guys want to get off onto your cycles now. We've done about an hour and 30 minutes, something like that, which has been absolutely fascinating. Thank you so much for your honesty and for your insights. I can't wait for this to go out. We'll go out a week on Friday. Make sure we plug it over all the socials. We'll tag you in it.
Yeah.
But gentlemen, let's catch up at the track in the season, see how things are going. And once more, thanks for your time.
Look forward to it.
Cheers, Dave.